folks, and welcome back to another episode of your Brains Coach podcast. My name is Angela Shurina. I'm your host, I'm your Brains Coach, and it is my job here to bring to you all the best, most effective, most useful science-based tools you can use so you can use your brain, your body better to feel, look, and do your best, and ultimately get more success. The other day I did this event about success thinking models, and one of the participants asked me, what is the definition of success? And I told him it's moving towards your goals and objectives, making progress towards your goals and objectives. And that doesn't mean, he also told me that he was a practicing Buddhist monk. I'm not sure how exactly that works because he wasn't in a monastery, but anyhow, and he didn't sign up for a hustle culture. And so I told him, hey, it doesn't matter whether you are on the way to becoming a monk or you're building a business or you have goals in your relationships or in your health and fitness. Success is movement towards your goal and objective. And even when you are on the way of becoming a monk, you still have a goal. You still have an objective. Even when monks meditate, they still have an objective, right? And so success is getting closer to that objective. And so when we learn how to use our brain, our body better, we start getting more success. And by more success, I mean moving towards our goals and objectives more effectively and sometimes faster and just with less friction. So when we set the goal, we achieve it in a more effective manner instead of stumbling everywhere and sometimes not achieving it at all or giving up or something else happening to that. So that is what success is, not some number in your bank account or not some promotion or a title or a number of followers, unless the number of followers is your own objective that you're working on. I'm definitely working on my LinkedIn presence, so that's an objective, and I'm looking into different ways of how to go about that, and I'm learning and trying things and testing things. And so success in this specific case is related to a number on my social media, specifically on LinkedIn, right? So success in different areas of our lives, different pursuits, different things that we want to have in our life, or we want to build in our life, it's defined by different things. But having these tools will allow you to move closer towards those objectives, again, in a more effective manner. And one of those tools, one of those areas of mastery that will help you to move closer and more effectively towards any objective is having more energy. I've often given talks starting with the speech about energy and how when you have more energy, you are so much more effective and productive and your quality of life increases. Energy is the currency of life. I say it all the time. When we have more energy, we're in a better mood. We do more and better. We'll learn better. We are so much more creative and we are like our best. Energy again is the currency of life, is the currency of everything. And when we learn how to use it better, how to manipulate it, we're going to be able to change our mental and emotional state and the quality of work we deliver and the quality of relationships that we start building. All of that going to be improved when we learn how to work with our energy. And when you talk about energy, I'm talking about learning how to help yourselves to create more of that energy. And we have these energy producing plants in our cells that are called mitochondria, that many cells have a lot of them, like muscle cells, for example, have a lot of mitochondria. That's why it's important to build up your muscle mass also for energy production, because when your muscles don't do much, your mitochondria is still working, still producing that energy. So you're a more energetic person because you have more lean muscle mass. So creating more energy, but then also not wasting your energy. Like, for example, if you create a lot of energy, but you start multitasking, and because of that, you waste a lot of neural energy for nothing, just switching from one task to another, at the end of the day, you end up feeling exhausted mentally and wiped out. Whereas if you work on one task at a time, and especially in bigger time chunks, you don't feel that exhausted because you don't waste that much energy, actual physical energy, on that task switching. And then, for example, if you don't manage your stress well, your cells work almost like double or triple shift. They waste a lot more energy to produce this ready to fight or flight state and use your glucose in a special way and maintain certain heart rate and certain blood pressure. And there is also inflammation increase that also makes your cells, your body spend more energy, right? So it's not just about producing more energy. It's also learning how to maintain a state where you spend less energy. And so more energy is left for life, for creating, for your business, for all of your objectives. So energy is the currency of life, and there are many different ways you can increase the amount of that energy available to you every day. On today's podcast, I want to talk to you a few routines in the key moments of the day that I use, that I teach all of my clients to use, that contribute to that energy reserve a lot. It's not uncommon to hear from my clients in the first couple of weeks when we work on our morning routine, for example, that all of a sudden they're like, oh, my morning is so much more energized now and focused, and I have so much more just energy to get things done really fast. And then it lasts till 3 or 4 p.m. in the afternoon, and I'm not yawning at 12 or 1. And I don't feel like I need a nap or I need a snack or anything. I'm just going through the day so much more productively and effectively. So that's very usual thing for them to say. And then sleep quality improves and a lot of other things improve, and that also add to that energy equation. And as a result, my clients are in a better mood, they do things better, they do things more effectively, they create more progress in all of these different areas, and they feel like now they have more energy for life, and as a result, they do have more life. So today I'm going to share with you a few of those routines that my clients do in the morning, in the afternoon, and in the evening to create this more positive energy balance. So again, you have more of that energy to contribute to building success in different areas of your life. And again, success in our definition is moving closer in an effective manner towards your objectives, whether they're professional or personal or health or some other way. So the first is, of course, your sleep. Sleeping on the same schedule for 7 to 9 hours. Same schedule. We talked a lot about sleep on this podcast, and please do realize that your sleep is your biggest contributor to your daily energy levels. So sleeping on the same schedule, sleeping 7 to 9 hours, making sure that you're not wasting a lot of time trying to fall asleep because you saw a lot of bright light or ate too late or had alcohol, and because of that, your sleep quality is compromised. Make sure that you go out in the morning, and we're going to talk about why that's important, to see that sunlight. And so quality of sleep, that's very important. And then after sleep, with all my clients, we work on their morning routine. And in our morning routine, besides water, that I believe should be so fundamental to everything you do, like drink your water, right? Half a liter at least. I recommend to all of my clients, don't drink more than a liter. Don't go crazy because you still have your kidneys that cannot process unlimited amount of water at the same time. So half a liter, a couple of big glasses is a good way to start your day. Also, water is important for every single process in your cell. Without water, you'll feel less energetic, you'll feel less focused, everything gonna work worse. So if you don't drink water, start drinking. So that's like a non-negotiable, and I don't even include it in my energy protocols, but I always talk about with my clients, okay, do you drink enough water? And if they don't, I make sure that in the morning before each of their meal, they drink a huge glass of water. So water, drink it, right? Sleep, do it correctly, do it consistently. And then every morning, all of my clients do 3 things. Light exposure. So 80% of the time, that's what we are shooting for. You take a week, 5 days of the week, you got to see that light. For my clients that are now in the UK or other countries of Northern Hemisphere and getting into winter, we also make sure that if we don't have a chance to get outside every morning, that at least we purchase that circadian lamp, 10,000 lux. That's a measure of life, the light, 10,000 lux, to get that similar to sunshine stimulation into your eyes, so your brain gets the signal and starts producing serotonin, dopamine in a much more effective manner that is important for your energy creation as well. Those neurotransmitters are like signaling molecules, when to do what, when to be more energetic, when to be more sleepy, right? So that is crucial to tune your circadian rhythm. So that light in the morning, better is outside. Nothing beats the sun with its effectiveness. And yeah, a lamp is good, but it's not as good as the sun outside. Plus, what I always tell my clients, you can then also include the movement. And I specifically tell my clients, not exercise, but movement. Because exercise on some days, yeah, you'll feel like it. And some of my clients love going to and working out in the gym or somewhere else or going outside. But on some days, and a lot of my clients travel a lot, you're just not going to be able to do that. So what do? Walk, go for a walk. If you need to do calls, if you need to run some errands, do that. But get outside and get that movement, those steps, start early. This also kind of jump starts a lot of processes in your cells. That movement moves stuff in and out of your cells much better. But your energy producing process is going to be much more optimized. Your blood sugar, your heart rate, your oxygenation of all of your cells and tissues, all of that's going to be happening, right? So movement, a light and movement, 2 pieces of my morning Kickstarter routine that all of my clients learn how to do in one way or the other, whether they're at home, travel, in a cold climate, in warm climate, whether they have ability to get outside or don't, but light and movement. And then the third part is protein. So light, movement, protein. And a specific kind of protein, the one that has sufficient amount of L-tyrosine, that is amino acid needed to create dopamine, that molecule that keeps you focused, motivated, driven, keeps you going, also contributes to higher energy levels. Protein, but then protein is important for every single process also. Everything that your cell does, every single chemical reaction it does with protein, or the protein is needed as a cofactor or to produce some hormone or some other molecule. Protein is important. It's not just for muscle. Everything in your body, in your brain, in your cells require protein. And also, not necessarily always I mention it, but with that protein, and my clients always get to purchase a shake for the morning because a lot of them are busy. And yes, a lot of them also start understanding the importance of good breakfast. So we introduce eggs into their morning routine, some fruits, some vegetables, it depends on each individual client. But protein is essential. So at least protein shake, and then also our supplements with that protein shake, our multivitamin, our multi-mineral, because protein is great, but it's not the only thing that's needed for many things to happen in your body and in your brain. Even to create the dopamine you need additional vitamins and minerals. And so we take those in the morning, but the basic structure is movement, eat great, breakfast, light, and that is morning Kickstarter formula. And by the way, in our breakfast, I mentioned already, for a lot of my clients, unless they have special case, we introduce eggs in our breakfast. And it's not a coincidence because egg is quite a rich, nutrient-dense food source that contains a lot of essential for life and energy production nutrients, from B vitamins to A and D and iodine and selenium, and there is protein and essential fatty acids. So there is so much stuff in the egg that it's hard to beat that food source. That's why to almost all of my clients, I suggest, if you do like eggs, almost all of them do. I'm like, okay, let's have 3 of those. So nutrition is a huge thing. And that also has a downstream effect. And then they didn't feel that hungry. They didn't snack on all kinds of different stuff. They didn't feel sleepy. So that's morning kickstarter formula, movement light protein. Just get it done and you'll immediately start feeling better for the rest of your day. That morning, when you get it right, it's going to be a driver of so much more success in your day. Morning is a part when your brain is the least fatigued. It's the freshest. It's when you think the clearest. So to seize the morning and you'll get a lot more done. And if you look at a lot of people who achieved a lot, they just get up and get going and they learn how to maximize energy output in their morning and to put that energy to great use, and they accomplish a lot more before any fatigue sets in. And then during the day and in the afternoon, they take it a little bit easier, meetings and all of that other stuff that doesn't require as much clarity and thinking and this personal energy, personal power. So morning, just make sure that you own your morning and you know how to kickstart it on a most powerful note, and that's going to transform your day. And I'm in my morning kickstarter formula, movement light protein, I'm bringing together a lot of pieces of health and performance sciences together to give you the best chance of feeling your best as many mornings as possible that ultimately will transform your life. I'm sipping my water every morning, also morning, first part of the day, first 10 hours of the day, that's when you want to drink a lot more water than at night. It also helps you then not to go to bed, not to go to the toilet during your sleep, and that helps you to have better quality of sleep. So morning, right? We took care of our morning. We got to do a lot of things. We're feeling our best, and then afternoon settles in. So a lot of my clients report to me that they stop experiencing that big of a midday slump. They might feel a little bit slower, but a lot of them don't even notice. And the reason is, well, first of all, we own our morning. We maximize the benefits of that energy production cycle and different hormones and neurotransmitters in the morning by doing this routine. But then in the midday, I make sure that my clients don't eat grease, don't eat sugar, so not too much fat or added sugars or processed carbohydrates like white flour, because the metabolism during this middle part of the day, it's starting to change. And your digestion works differently and your metabolism works differently. And plus you have more of those calmer neurotransmitters starting to pop up like serotonin that don't keep you as alert as cortisol in the morning, for example. Taking all of that into account and that kind of natural dip in our alertness, we are trying to do our best to not make us even more sleepier. And by that, I mean, if we eat something heavier with either just big meal, but especially if it contains a lot of fat and if it's fried, there is mayo, there are dressings and sauces, it does contain a lot of fat. Or it's processed sugar, or it's processed carbohydrate, meaning white stuff, right? Or maybe it's some smoothie that is all healthy, but with a ton of, fruit juice or honey, but it's really sweet. And that makes your blood sugar to go up, but then go down. And that deepen your blood sugar on top of midday slowdown of your alertness and wakefulness, going to create this really sleepy state. So that's why all of my clients avoid getting this greasy and sugary stuff, even if it's natural sugar, guys, not too much, not in the middle of the day. And then what we do instead, we make sure to get more protein. Protein is more alerting and helps, again, back to dopamine, create more of that to feel more focused, alert. So that protein in your meal getting back, to combining your biology and productivity, and making sure that your energy production cycle is aligned with your goals this part of the day. So in the middle of the day, most of my clients don't want to feel sleepy. You probably don't want to feel sleepy in the middle of your day. And so we maximize our biology so we don't. And instead, we're more alert and focused. So we focus on protein in our foods. We focus on fruit and vegetables. And we focus on not having that meal too heavy, right? If it's too big of a meal, no matter what you eat, it's still going to slow you down. And then a couple of best things you can do to bring your alertness, your wakefulness up, your energy state up, that are based on science. Do some cold exposure, and by that I don't mean necessarily unless you want to jump into a cold shower. What I mean is take a couple of minutes. Timing is important. Take about a couple of minutes and go to the toilet, go to the bathroom. No matter where you are, there is a bathroom. And splash a lot of cold water, or just keep washing your face with cold water and your hands, because you have special kind of skin that called glabrous skin on your face, on your hands, also on your feet, by the way, that change your body core temperature the fastest. So if you splash a lot of cold water for a couple of minutes on your face and your hands, your body core temperature going to start to decrease. But then what happens after that? Your blood vessels gonna constrict, and then after that, your core temperature, your body will start figuring out how to warm you up. A lot of process is going to start happening. Also, adrenaline, cortisol going to be pumping into your system again, and all of that will wake you up. So what research shows, if you in the middle of the day splash that cold water and combine it with getting some of that bright light, either outside, or if you have that circadian lamp that I talked about in the beginning of the episode, that I also recommend to all of my clients to get, just put in Amazon, for example, or any e-commerce retailer, circadian rhythm, from circadian rhythm. So, circadian rhythm, or just circadian lamp. So put that there and see, all of them are quite affordable, below like $50. And you can set that in front of your computer and you can splash that cold water and you'll immediately feel more alert and awake. And then if mental fatigue, cognitive fatigue starts settling in, take a break, maybe a short walk. Another great break is doing yoga nidra, or 5 minutes with your eyes closed, some breath work like box breathing, 5-5-5, or just spend 5 minutes with your eyes closed, disconnected. And it's very important to not spend your breaks on social media, because that engages different neural circuits and that keep your brain in the same state of focus and in the same state of almost cognitive work that doesn't allow you actually restore that focused attention resources that your brain uses for work. So social media breaks are not breaks for your brain. So make sure to do something like a disconnected walk when you don't stare at your screen, or just spend 5 minutes with your eyes closed, or take a nap if you can. Do yoga nidra, that is a body scan or sort of meditation that you can do sitting down, or even better, laying down. Do some breath work like box breathing. And then for alertness, again, bright light helps a lot. Get outside, or just get that lamp, or just sit by a lot of bright light. And cold water. Cold water is like magic. If you spend a couple of minutes just washing your hands and your face with cold water, you'll immediately feel more alert. And it works better than coffee. So it's really an amazing protocol, and it helps a lot of my clients to really own the middle of their day, without then having to, get any anything like coffee or other stimulants that then have effect on their sleep cycle and other things in their life, not in such a positive manner, right? So use cold water, use bright light, make sure that your lunches are full of protein and fresh fruit and maybe fresh salads and fresh salads, not greasy and sugary stuff. So that's the middle of the day. And then at the end of the day, by the way, if you work late and you need to feel more alert and awake without coffee, please do also use that cold water, either a cold shower or, splashing that cold water into your face, into your hands. That will keep you alert and awake. Again, instead of coffee, that will disrupt your sleep architecture. But then at the end of the day, when you need to chill and you need to transition into sleep phase, the most important part is to have a routine, to have a very similar routine no matter where you are, even if you travel, to have something that you do all the time for the past, for a lot of my clients, all they have is like 10, 15 minutes. Some of them are parents, some of them are business owners or both together, and they might not have, an hour to chill and to do whatever they want to do. But instead, 15 minutes, you always have 10, 15 minutes. And so make sure that at night, to transition to sleep and to calm your brain down and to start creating more of those brain chemicals of sleep and relaxation, make sure that you have some routine, because routine is like a trigger. It's a cue. It's a signal to your brain to do specific things. So if you do the same thing at the end of the day, like I love to propose to my clients having a hot shower, because that actually warms your body up and then it starts cooling down your core, and that drop in temperature between hot and cold actually helps you fall asleep much faster. Plus, your shower is available in most places, so you can take that shower for 3 minutes or so, 3-4 minutes, whatever you want to take it for. So take that shower, and then perhaps some of my clients like listening to some music, some of my clients like listening to some meditation or reading a book for like 5 minutes, something that is not making you awake and alert. So having that, and then perhaps again listening to some meditation or doing 5 minutes of breath work, like that box breathing, or just exhale, focus breathing, long exhale for twice as long as you inhale. A lot of my clients start doing that and they say, well, I just then fall asleep. So having those things that you do every single night will help to cue your brain to give your brain a signal that it's time for bed and it's time to slow down, instead of bombarding you with more thoughts, more ideas, and then thinking about different problem solutions. Right? So, by the way, when you finish work, if you finish late or early, make sure that you have some sort of closure. And it's actually written in many books. So like, for example, the recent one when I saw it was Deep Work by Cal Newport. And he said, if you want to shut down your brain effectively and allow it to recover and do whatever it needs to do during the night effectively, you want to create that closure. And he personally does something like the work is done or the work is finished, and then he closes everything off and transitions to the next part of his day. That is usually something about chilling and relaxing, etc. So just have this closure with your work. Look at your schedule. Make sure that you have everything decided about the day ahead, that you have some sort of plan that helps with closure, also written in the book about Deep Work by Cal Newport. Highly recommended. And then have this closure, like it's done, and then take your shower and then do some breathing in bed, and you'll fall asleep really, really fast. That temperature drop will help. And then if you do the same routine, again, back to the routine, if you do the same routine every night, no matter where you are, that will help you to fall asleep no matter where you are. I know that when you travel, it's harder to fall asleep on the same times, also new bed, etc. You don't have all this familiarity that usually might make you fall asleep, but you have this routine that you can create familiarity around, and that will give your brain a signal that now it's time for bed. So take your shower, perhaps again, do 5 minutes of book reading or something like that, something not work related. And then in bed, do breathing exercise, like 5 minutes of exhaled, focused breathing. Most of my clients, they start doing that and they just fall asleep. And that being said, of course, make sure that you have your dinner 3 hours, at least 2 hours before bed. So it's, and also not super heavy, because the heavier your meal, the longer it's going to be digested. And that's going to prevent you from falling asleep, because your body temperature is going to be different. Your blood sugar is going to be at different stages, not ideal for you falling asleep. So it's a lot about your biology and psychology and your environment. So not having a meal too late, not having a lot of alcohol in it, for a guy or woman, it might be like one drink. That may be okay, but still it will most probably affect your sleep quality. And then not having caffeinated stuff like different teas or dark chocolate right before going to bed or closer to your bedtime. That also is important. But then so is that night routine. Even if all you have is 10-15 minutes, if you do the same thing, it will help you to prepare for sleep. And also don't forget that bright light, if you expose yourself to a lot of unprotected screens, meaning you don't have blue light blocking technology either on your device, or you don't have any sort of glasses, and you have a lot of bright light in your environment, please do know that that will destroy a lot of your melatonin that is designed in your brain to make you fall asleep. So make sure again that you really take care of your light environment as well. And then repeat, rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat. And all of this are very flexible. And all of the tips and tools I gave you today, they can be done in so many ways, in so many different locations. And once you understand the basics, why they are important exactly, you can mix and match. Like for breakfast, for example, if you don't like eggs or you don't have eggs, have something else. Maybe you don't have shake, then figure out your food solution. If in the middle of the day you don't have the access to, water to keep yourself alert and awake, then make sure that you do everything else to, like lighter lunch or dinner, or lighter lunch in this case. And but the basics that I outlined here, they are very important. And whenever you can, please do them. This is the absolute minimum of things to do to make sure that you have high energy state consistently on demand in the morning, afternoon, and then you transition to sleep well and effectively, so you can go through this most restorative part of your day to get your energy balance topped up. So I hope you learned a lot on today's podcast episode, and you now look at your routine and think of ways where you can improve. I always like to tell my clients to start from the morning, because if you're on your morning, the rest of the day will go so much better. Your morning conditions the day ahead with nutrition and the habits and behaviors. It sets the mood for the day. So don't underestimate the power of your morning. There are many books written about that, Miracle Morning and 5 a.m. Club, but own your morning. And this routine, morning kickstarter movement, protein light, is one of the best ways to jumpstart your powerful morning and powerful day. So again, hope you learned a lot. Please, folks, we don't run any ads here. We don't promote it in many other ways. So if you can share this podcast with at least one another person who might love it, benefit from this podcast, please do so. Also rate us, give us a review on any platform where you find this podcast. It also helps the podcast to grow, to get into the ears of more people. So your support really makes a difference. And that being said, have a powerful Monday, have a powerful week, and Don't underestimate the importance of your habits and routines. They really do matter, and they can accelerate your success or can slow it down every single day. Thank you for listening. Have a powerful day. Share, and I can't wait to talk to you again. Talk to you soon.